Have you ever wondered how the mighty Marathas, who once ruled a significant part of India, declined and the British rose to power? Let's embark on a journey back in time to unravel this intriguing chapter of history. The Marathas, a warrior clan hailing from the western Deccan Plateau, emerged as a potent force in the 17th century. Their rise to power was no accident, but a result of their indomitable spirit, strategic prowess, and an unyielding resolve to safeguard their land and culture. Under the leadership of the visionary king Shivaji Bhonsle, the Marathas established an empire that stretched across central and northern India. Known for their guerrilla warfare tactics, they won significant battles against the Mughals and other adversaries, expanding their territory and influence. Their victories were not just a testament to their military might, but also to their strategic acumen, adaptability, and sheer will. The Marathas weren't just exceptional warriors, but also skilled administrators. They established a robust, decentralized system of governance, ensuring law and order across their vast empire. They promoted agriculture, trade, and commerce, making their region one of the most prosperous in India. Their rule was characterized by pragmatism and a deep understanding of the socio-political landscape of the time. But it wasn't just their military and administrative capabilities that set the Marathas apart. They were also known for their cultural richness and intellectual prowess. They patronized arts, literature, and education, contributing to the cultural and intellectual heritage of India. However, as the saying goes, nothing lasts forever. Despite their immense power, the Marathas faced an unforeseen decline. What led to this downfall? The Marathas, who once stood tall as the guardians of the Deccan, were gradually eclipsed, giving way to the rise of a new power on the Indian subcontinent, the British. So what happened? How did the sun set on the Maratha Empire, and how did the dawn of the British era begin? To understand this pivotal shift in power, we need to delve deeper into the factors that contributed to the decline of the Marathas and the rise of the British. Stay tuned as we take a closer look at this intriguing transition in the next scene. The decline of the Marathas wasn't sudden, it was a series of unfortunate events. This powerful empire, once the epitome of valor and resilience, began to crumble, not due to a single cataclysmic event, but through a slow process of disintegration. Internal conflicts, weak leadership, and ambitious generals were the primary causes that led to the decline of the Marathas. Let's start with internal conflicts. The Maratha Empire, at its zenith, was a powerful force, but it was plagued with internal strife. The various Maratha chieftains were often at odds with each other, more focused on their personal ambitions than the collective good of the empire. This lack of unity and consistent infighting weakened the empire, making it vulnerable to external threats. Next, let's discuss leadership. After the death of the empire's great leaders like Shivaji and Peshwa Bajirao, the Marathas faced a leadership crisis. The subsequent leaders were unable to maintain the unity of the empire or effectively handle the external threats. Their inability to provide strong leadership during critical times accelerated the decline of the Marathas. Lastly, we cannot forget the ambitious generals. The Maratha generals, eager for personal glory and power, often acted independently without the consent of their leaders, leading to disunity and confusion. Their reckless actions often resulted in disastrous battles, further weakening the Maratha Empire. These factors cumulatively led to significant losses in battles such as the Battle of Panipat and the Battle of Buxar. The Marathas, once the formidable power in India, were now on the losing side. These battles marked the beginning of the end for the Marathas, and their loss was a significant turning point in the history of India. While the Marathas were declining, a new power was rising in India. Yes, you guessed it right, the British. The British, initially traders, gradually transformed into rulers. But how? This is a question that has captivated historians for centuries. Let's delve into it. When the British first set foot on Indian soil, in the early 17th century, they were merely traders seeking the riches of the East. The initial arrival was led by the East India Company, a group of merchants who received a royal charter from Queen Elizabeth I, granting them a monopoly on trade with the East Indies. The company established factories, which were essentially trading posts, in key coastal locations such as Madras, Calcutta, and Bombay. Over time, the British, through the East India Company, began to foster relationships with local rulers. They played a subtle game of diplomacy, exploiting the rivalries among the various Indian states. Their primary aim was to safeguard their commercial interests, but this would eventually lead to a far-reaching political role. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 marked a significant turning point. The British, led by Robert Clive, defeated the Nawab of Bengal, effectively gaining control over one of the richest provinces of India. This win paved the way for future victories and gave the British a strong foothold in India. The British also made effective use of treaties to expand their sphere of influence. The Treaty of Bassein in 1802, for instance, allowed them to station their troops in Maratha territory, thus ensuring their control over the region. These treaties often appeared to be mutual agreements, but they were primarily designed to serve British interests. As the 18th century drew to a close, the British had successfully transitioned from traders to rulers, holding sway over vast territories. Their rise to power was a result of strategic alliances, military victories, and shrewd diplomacy. The British, with their strategies and treaties, were successful in establishing their rule in India, leading to the end of Maratha dominance. The once mighty Maratha Confederacy, fractured and weakened, could no longer resist the rising tide of British power.
So, what led to the downfall of the Marathas and the rise of the British? Was it just destiny or more than that? Let's delve into the strategies, leadership, and administration of the Marathas and the British. The key differences in their approaches had a profound impact on the fate of both powers. The Marathas, despite their military prowess, struggled with a decentralized political system. Their leaders, though valiant, often acted independently, creating a lack of unified direction. This fragmentation was not conducive to the effective management of their vast territories. On the other hand, the British had a well-structured, centralized system of governance. The East India Company, under the supervision of the British Crown, had a clear chain of command from the Governor-General down to the lowest official. This hierarchy enabled the British to maintain control over their territories and implement policies uniformly. In terms of strategies, the Marathas relied heavily on traditional warfare techniques. Their bravery and skill in battle were unparalleled, but they lacked the technological advancements that the British possessed. The British, with their superior weaponry and naval force, had the upper hand in many conflicts. Furthermore, the British were adept at diplomacy. They used the policy of divide and rule to create rifts among Indian kingdoms, including the Marathas. This strategy allowed them to conquer territories with minimal resistance. Lastly, the administration of the Marathas was largely feudal, with local chieftains or sardars holding considerable power. This often led to disputes and inefficiencies. The British, however, had a bureaucratic system with officials appointed based on merit, which ensured a smoother functioning of their administration. The combination of these factors led to the decline of the Marathas and the rise of the British. The British's centralized governance, superior strategies, and efficient administration gave them an edge over the Marathas, whose decentralized system, traditional warfare, and feudal administration proved to be their downfall. The decline of the Marathas and the rise of the British was indeed a significant turn of events in Indian history. Understanding history helps us understand the present and shape the future. As we traverse the winding roads of the past, we find ourselves at the crossroads of two formidable forces, the decline of the Maratha Empire and the rise of British power. We've seen how the once mighty Marathas, who held sway over the Indian subcontinent, gradually succumbed to internal strife, ineffective leadership,
and the relentless onslaught of external enemies. Their decline was not immediate, nor was it a simple linear process. It was a complex interplay of political, social, and economic factors that slowly but surely eroded their power. In contrast, we've seen the British, initially just traders, gradually expand their influence, turning a profit-driven venture into a full-blown political conquest. The British East India Company, with its superior military technology and shrewd diplomatic maneuvers, managed to consolidate power and establish a colonial rule that would last for nearly 2 centuries. These historical events are not just a tale of the rise and fall of empires, but they also offer us valuable lessons. From the Marathas, we learn the importance of unity, strong leadership, and effective governance. Their decline serves as a stark reminder that internal discord and lack of visionary leadership can lead even the mightiest to their downfall. From the British, we learn about the power of adaptation, strategic planning, and the use of technology. Their rise to power underscores the importance of seizing opportunities and being prepared to face challenges. But most importantly, these historical events remind us that change is a constant and that power dynamics are always in flux. They encourage us to be agile, adaptable, and resilient in the face of change. They teach us that our actions, decisions, and strategies have a profound impact on the course of our future. History is not just about the past, but also about the lessons we learn and the future we shape. Until next time, keep exploring history and shaping your future.